what is the problem? What is the broken dream? Well, there is a toxic combination of factors. First factor is we don't talk risk, we don't talk security, we don't talk enough with the business, and hence we don't involve enough security with development, with the business overall. And the consequence of that is that fundamentally you have developer either not knowing about security or skipping the step if you don't have that healthy conversation, if you don't have that healthy debate and argumentation, or you don't let the business into the security decision process, and hence security ignore the process. If I'm not aware as a business, my objective is to fundamentally go forward, develop new things, and sell. On the other aspect, there is more and more CVE being declared. There is more due diligence, there is more regulation, and there is more vendors that declare CVE frequently. So we have 34% roughly more CVE year on year, every year. And then I'm going to say something that is very controversial, that everybody's going to have a debate about that number, but it's just a number. But fundamentally, a lot of the CVE that we have out there are maybe exploitable, but maybe not exploitable for your particular scenario, in your particular case. And the context is king. And we're going to talk extensively about risk, context, posture, because I want everybody to focus on just the one that matters and the one that matters first, putting first things first and CVE first, and then focusing on all the other in a cascade, because we don't have infinite time. I wish we had infinite team and infinite time to fix vulnerability day in and day out, but we don't. So it's more important that we focus on the ones that are actually more exploitable, more targetable, rather than focusing on everything. Because when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. And then on the consequence, on the flip side, is that if we delegate security to just security people, or security to just one developer that has done the security champion training, they burn out. They burn out and they quit. And 50% of us have considered at any point in stage of the career, this is too much. This is too much triaging. This is too much manual work. And there is not enough automation, not enough hours in the day to actually consider all the elements that form traditional threat modeling and prioritization and how to prioritize. And this is not just my opinion, it's fact that we've seen CVE, more CVE year on year. The application security and cloud security professionals are the ones that are probably more scarce because of the information and context that they need to have and knowledge that they need to have. And we have less time to fix, if you want, highly publicized or highly exploited vulnerability or highly weaponized vulnerability. I'm just gonna make the example of Apache Strat and Heartbeat. There've been others in between those two major vulnerabilities. But then in the last year, everybody has seen Log4Shell, Spring4Shell, and so on and so forth in terms of vulnerability exploited at scale. So less time, less people, more CVE, recipe for disaster if we don't automate, if we don't do this at scale, if we don't focus on the CVE that matters. And this is the data that fundamentally show that year on year, we see an uptrending of CVE and more CVE published because there is more due diligence around what's being published, but not everything gets published. And I've taken some stats just from August, and this is kind of recently in the last few days, on the number of vulnerability published just on August, and of which the one that are exploitable, the one that has public exploit, and a bit over controversial, only 10% that are actually worth taking care of because they're exploitable, because they're exposed, because they're very publicized. And this is 7 to 10% in a specific point in time, because new vulnerability get exploited at scale, then they get forgotten, then they get re-exploited at scale. So it's not a static factor. And that's the challenge that traditionally we have, that I personally have with CVE, that is a static number that is rarely changed and is rarely contextualized because it has a purpose. CVE in itself has a purpose and has served the purpose to actually declare how bad is bad, but not how bad is this particular vulnerability in your context, in this particular time, in this particular period. And this is what risk is actually meant to do. It's been misused, abused, the word risk, but this is what risk is meant to do. It's meant to contextualize where you are in terms of risk position based on all the vulnerability that you have, based on all the assets that you have, your criticality. But we'll explore all this in a second. I want to reiterate, only a percentage of vulnerability are worth taking care of, and even a smaller percentage are worth taking on in your particular scenario.